You got to have that faith, and you can't be afraid of the unknown. This is how I've always felt. You know, why is it always somebody else? You know, why not us?
There's a double play. Throw it into right field. 1 run scores, 2 runs score, and the throw gets away. Here comes another runner to the plate, and 3 runs come in. And Dusty Baker can only say, why me?
93, my first year, was a great year. Then 94 was a strike year. 95, it was almost a replacement year. And then things went downhill from there.
And the ball is dropped.
Look out. That's a bomb. Gets by. Lampkin, a good kick. The throw will be late, and it's 5-1.
Well, 96 was just awful. I mean, they really didn't have much of a team. I mean, it was a situation where you just couldn't wait till the season was over.
And they are struggling right now.
Man, I think we were close to losing 100 games. I mean, that was a nightmare. You know, we had to win in 97.
If you're a Giant fan, that decade up to that point had been very frustrating. You saw them finish in last place in back-to-back seasons, and then their most popular player was traded. Now, Matt Williams was the homegrown kid that all the Giant fans had seen grow up, and he was certainly the most popular player on the team.
I didn't think he was a guy that they would ever trade. I thought he was not kind of an untouchable.
It was a shocking trade, and you're looking at it through the eyes of the fan base who really don't get it.
It was a pretty daring move to trade the most popular guy and pretty much our best player at that time, other than Bonds. But it had to be done.
We knew that Brian Sabean had been an important executive with the Yankees, and he was responsible for scouting or drafting a lot of guys in the Derek Jeter years, including Jeter, and that he was really well thought of there, which is why the Giants went after him.
And here he comes in, and right away he trades one of the franchise players, one of the most popular players on the team.
It made you think that this guy's, you know, Sabean's not fooling around. He's going to run this club the way he sees it, and pray for him.
I think it caught everybody by surprise that we were that proactive, but we saw that we had to do something bold.
So I can remember up at Candlestick in the conference room, we brought the media in the next day and sat down with Brian and in a very casual, informal atmosphere. It was almost a get to know Brian Sabean.
And that's where that quote came out. I'm not an idiot. I know what I'm doing here.
I was just thinking, like, you know, what if he is an idiot? But he held firm. There was a lot of resolve in Brian's face. He looked like a guy who was going to take charge here, and you'll find out that I'm not an idiot, and things will get better.
Could we have sat back and perhaps done it slower or in a less dramatic fashion? Perhaps. The reality was him and Barry were almost making half of our payroll with those two salaries combined. So unfortunately, somebody had to go.
He knew what he was doing, and he had faith that he had done the right thing. And that the Giants had a lot of holes to fill after the 96 season. We had Barry Bonds, but we needed more players to put with them.
It was very unique what he did, because in that Matt Williams trade, along with a couple other trades, he brought in an entirely new infield. He had J.T. Snow at first, and he brought the double play combination from the Mets and Jeff Kent and Jose Vizcaíno. Then he had Mark Lewis that he had gotten from Detroit at third base, who ended up platooning with Bill Miller. And I can recall a photo at the dugout down in Scottsdale, and they're all wearing these "Hello, my name is," and what his name was, because it was a whole new infill, and nobody knew who a lot of these guys were.
I mean, these were kind of some misfits. I mean, J.T. Snow was a huge prospect for the Yankees who hadn't really come into his own. Darryl Hamilton, I don't know very many folks in San Francisco knew who Darryl Hamilton was. And Jeff Kent, people knew because he went to Cal, but here's this guy who sort of bounced around the Mets and with the Indians and you know, really wasn't a star player. And I think it was something where management knew that they had brought some good players in here and hoped that they would sort of coalesce as a team.
Well, I think more than anything, we just made sure that we got our players out in the community. It was unique to have this many new players. So there was a curiosity of who are these guys. And their stories were very fresh stories. You know, the whole message was really just give us a chance.
It was a lot of unfamiliar faces when I stepped into Scottsdale Stadium in spring training. And we sat down the first meeting with Dusty Baker, and he wanted to establish a winning culture in spring training right away.
He wanted winning to become a habit. He wanted you to expect to win and be disappointed when you didn't.
He was like, hey, we brought all you guys together, you know, for a purpose, and if we didn't think that you guys could win, you wouldn't be here. And I think we took that to heart in spring training and kind of ran with that right away.
Get on the ground, Vizcaino tracks it down, spins, throws, got him, nice play.
Right there.
You got him.
There's the curveball, there's a long drive. Deep to left center field, and gone, a home run. The Giants have their first win of 1997.
We had to create a new reputation with this team. It was one of those things where everybody felt like they had something to prove, and there was a lot of players that played with a chip on their shoulder, and I think that's a good thing.
Coming in, he dives, and he got it.
We all kind of had been left for, you know, dead, so to speak, with other organizations, and I think that kind of rubbed us the wrong way, and right away we were wanting to prove people wrong.
We thought we had a team that could compete. No one else did, but we did.
Kent is going to go to third. They got him.
What was interesting about that team was it really was a big mix of veterans and young guys. They went out and got some players who had some experience. Then you had some younger guys who were coming up. They just had the right mix of young and experience, and that really helped bring them together as a team.
Swinging a little bit of right field. This could be trouble. We got one run coming in. Here comes Powell. This one is over.
It's just about going out there and trying to develop a chemistry together and try to find out what your identity was as a team. And then we started to believe that, heck, we can win this thing.
All right, runners at first and second. Do you think they're running on this pitch, Dusty?
Probably so, but I got to give Wilkie a sign. Wilkie!
You know, in today's world of professional sports, so much of it is getting the woodwinds to work with the brass, to work with the strings. I mean, you're an orchestra conductor, and you have to be able to see the big picture and to see how everybody fits and make everybody feel like they're contributing. And Dusty was a master at that.
Everybody respected Dusty. Everybody wanted to play for Dusty. He had a way of never letting people get down.
He was the best guy for that group. He was that guy that was always there pumping us up, would never say bad stuff if we had rough games. So he just made us feel like we were going to be good that year, right from the get-go.
You know, Dusty's great like that. He gets people to believe in him.
You know, when you see your manager showing emotion and his care for each individual player, you look up to a guy like that, you know, and you want to win for him, too.
You have to, accept and take everybody, you know, and try to put guys in a role to make them feel important, and because they are important.
Sean Estes was a rookie that year. He ended up winning 19 games, and one of the reasons for that strong start was that he went out there every fifth day and surprised everybody.
A 2-hit shutout.
And Kirk Reeder was tremendous. Another really clever left-hander. He's one of those guys with just an infectious personality.
Rod Beck, shooter, unbelievable guy.
Man, he was fearless. He believed that he was going to get you out, and he'd get you out.
Gardy was probably the veteran of the staff, and he kind of was like the dad of all of us, and we always looked to him for that leadership.
J.T. Snow is one of the best defensive first basemen ever, just flat out.
JT was smooth. There's no smoother dude than JT.
A shot, Snow's got it.
J.K., I mean, he's the guy that I would feel very comfortable in the foxhole with.
If I had to pick who do you want to go out there behind you, I would say J.K., because I know he was going to give you everything he had with effort or toughness.
Barry's one of those guys that you had to have. You had to have him because he was too good not to.
I felt like when he was on the field, we had a chance. He was like our Michael Jordan.
He was the signature player on the franchise, but he was also the signature player in baseball.
High and deep, and it is way out of here. Oh, boy.
I think the organizations that have the most success, or the years that you have the most success, is when you read the tea leaves. And what I mean by that is the kind of organic thing that goes on with a team or a clubhouse that shows you're on the right path, or shows that you do have a legitimate chance to do something bigger and greater.
And a lot of times the rule of thumb for a general manager is if the team shows me that they can contend, then I'm going to do everything I can to try to help them at the trading deadline.
The big trade was obviously, the Wilson Alvarez, Roberto Hernandez, Danny Darwin trade.
I can remember Dusty coming to me on the plane and say, "What do you think about these guys?" I said, "Oh, wow, if we can have one of those guys." He goes, "Oh, all of them."
I was stunned by the magnitude of that trade, really. To hear that they ended up making this huge trade with so many prospects, and that they got an experienced starter like Wilson Alvarez. They've got a really experienced starter like Danny Darwin, and also a big bullpen piece in Roberto Hernandez. It was really kind of stunning.
When your baseball organization, is not afraid to make changes, what it does is it gives the team a lot of confidence that, we're all in this thing together.
That was great for us because it kind of refueled everybody and kind of said, hey, let's go. We got 2 months, let's go do this.
You know that feeling you have on the back of your neck right now? Those are goosebumps because it's September and it's the Giants against the Dodgers.
Going into the Dodgers series, we knew that was going to be big, and we were 2 out with 8 games to play.
That was a classic. Ooh, showdown.
Everybody knew it was at stake. Those 2 games were as big as any 2 games that, the franchise had played in a long time.
I'll never forget walking out of the tunnel. There was 50-some thousand that were chanting "Beat LA," before the game even started. It was like, oh boy, it's like they're serious tonight.
Bonds, he hits it hard and deep, and listen to this crowd. Number 10.
And then in the very first game, in the very first inning, Barry Bonds hits that home run against Chan-Ho Park and does that pirouette.
Clapped his hands, and it was kind of like, oh yeah, here we go.
Bonds definitely knows how to start a party.
That really enraged the Dodgers.
Zeal, and that is it. And he got him right there. 2 down here in the third.
Watching Kirk Reeder deal the first game of that series, pitch one of his best games of the year.
He was a fast worker, and as his career developed, we also consider him a very lucky person.
To be lucky, you gotta think lucky. Well, Woody is the luckiest thinking man I ever seen in my life.
And they got Mondesi picked off. Snow's throw is in time. They got him. Comebacker. There's one and the double play.
He's an excitable guy, but when he pitched, he didn't get super pumped up all the way. I just remember his emotion coming off the field after a big inning or a big out.
Got him. He struck him out.
Even my wife laughs at me still because I jumped off the mound and was pumping my fist, and I have no idea what I was screaming out loud.
And listen to this crowd.
When I was walking off, I was kind of just trying to soak it in, but just kind of trying to relax even more now because I was like, okay, I gave us a chance now. We'll see. We'll let Roberto close it up.
On the ground, Vizcaino has it, and this one is over! And game 1 belongs to the Giants, and they are 1 back in the National League West. What a performance by Kirk Reeder.
The next game, the Brian Johnson game, was just clearly one of the best games I had ever covered.
We knew it was going to be tough. We knew the Dodgers weren't going to be happy to lose the first one, and so they were going to come back with some vengeance.
Hits it to left field. Bonds having trouble with it, is at the wall. He leaps, and it is gone.
They were kind of the Goliath to our David, and so we were very much the underdog, and we kind of relished that.
Ground ball, center field, base hit. This game is tied. JT hits it high, hits it deep, hits it out of here, and he hits one high to right. Mondesi going back, and it's out of here. Oh man!
In innings 1 through 9 was tough. It was back and forth, back and forth.
And a base hit to left field. Bonds is going to come home. No, he won't. This game is tied.
It was such a dramatic game as it got into extra innings.
In the 10th inning, Rod Beck gets in deep trouble. Bases are loaded with nobody out.
We were stuck. The fans were booing at Rod Beck, and they didn't want him in there. Rod knew it.
Yeah, it was a harrowing situation back, and there was a lot of doubt in the air.
He goes, what do you think I should do? I said, man, you just do, you dig deep and believe.
He told the shooter he believed in him, and he's glad he's out there, and that he knew he was going to take care of this and make this happen. I think it was really important that he said that to Rod at the time.
Here's the pitch. He got it. Well, here's a guy that's gone to the Hall of Fame, Eddie Murray. Swinging a chopper to Kent. He has to come home. There's one. The throw to first. Double play. He got out of it. I don't believe
it. Shooter just left it all out there and got us another chance. So we got to win. We know we're going to win. Okay, when are we going to win?
Well, when I first came up to the plate, it'd been a long game, and I was tired. All I wanted to do was just get on second base, hit a double somewhere, get on base, have somebody else hit me in, and then we go home.
With all the trades that Brian Sabean had made leading up to that point, all the big trades, all the trades that made so much news, the Matt Williams trade, the white flag trade, Brian Johnson was a very, very underrated move.
Well, I was coming from a bad situation in Detroit, so I called Dusty and said, hey, man, you know of any teams that needs a catcher? And he said, I'll call you back in an hour. And an hour later, he said, you're coming here in San Francisco.
But I'm looking at it in the media guide, and I kept reading when he was with the Detroit Tigers and the Padres, how many big hits he got. It was like, it didn't add up that a guy, he wasn't even really a full-time player with those teams, but yet the big game-winning hits were all Brian Johnson.
I was very aggressive as a hitter, and I saw a fastball from Guthrie, and I jumped on it. And once I hit it, my first 2 steps, I wasn't sure if it was going to go out. But by my 3rd step, I remember thinking, that's going to get out of here. Once I hit first base, I no longer heard the crowd noise. There was something that 62,000 people roaring at one time. For some reason, there was a glass case that went around my head where I couldn't hear any of it. But I could hear my feet going, hitting the ground as I ran around the bases. As I came around third base and came around to home plate, then the cheers and the noise started to come back.
And this one is over! And the National League West is tied!
The Brian Johnson home run against the Dodgers remains one of the most brilliant, inspiring, awesome things that any Giants fan has seen, and they would all tell you that if they were there. After that game, people were saying, I think this is destiny. The Giants are going to win this. And Rod Beck goes, well, I like to call it destiny.
to 97. Do you believe in destiny? They do at San Francisco.
To clinch the division after a losing season is huge. You know, I don't think anybody projected us to do that. And, you know, they were kind of like saying, oh, who are these guys and what are they all about? Well, from that moment on, they knew who the Giants were.
Because I don't think anybody in the league picked us. You know what I mean? But, you know, we believed in ourselves.
Quick minute about Brian Sabean. What a great job he did giving you the talent to go out there and win this year.
Yes, he did. I got to thank Brian, and I just want to thank the Giants and the investors for, you know, for making it possible to give us the talent, you know, to be here today.
I think we all learned, you know, through the pressure and at times the negativity that, you know, you do some big things if you believe in them and you stay the course, and we certainly did that.
The Bay Area, I think, fell in love with baseball again.
I think our 97 team kind of as a whole helped the city, gave them a little more hope.
It seemed like there was this whole new window into the future of Giants baseball that gave the fan base sort of the certainty and the security that the Giants are going to be here forever.